Good afternoon. Thank you for attending this session. I'm Stacey Goldsmith. I'm a VXI Business Development Manager for Europe. So what I'm going to do first of all is probably answer a question that most people have got on their mind right now. What is VXI? You know, it's a three-letter acronym that Cisco has introduced, and you know, it wouldn't be unfamiliar for Citrix to start introducing three-letter acronyms. So before we start off, I'm just going to give you a very high-level view of what VXI is. It stands for Virtualization Experience Infrastructure. It's Cisco's new solution category for desktop virtualization. And I will talk about why we've called it VXI and why you need another three-letter acronym. Okay. Before I start, though, let's just see from the audience perspective who's actually doing desktop virtualization today. So could I just see a show of hands for people that are already doing desktop virtualization within their organizations? Okay, so we've got a few people there. And what about anyone that's entered into some kind of proof of concept around desktop virtualization? Can I just see a show of hands? No proof of concepts. Okay, is anybody considering desktop virtualization now within their organizations? Okay, I'm seeing quite a few more hands actually. And that probably gives us a good gauge of certainly what I'm seeing in the industry right now. People are entering into desktop virtualization. They're just starting on that journey. There are a few organizations that are already doing it right now. What I'm going to do is talk about some of the challenges that you will face with deploying desktop virtualization and how VXI can overcome some of those challenges. Okay. Can I just see another show of hands for the people that are looking at desktop virtualization, the reasons that you're doing it? Is it for a cost reduction perspective? Anyone that's looking at it or already doing desktop virtualization, just raise your hands. Okay, a few people. What about security? Security, a few more hands. Okay. What about business agility, flexibility? Yeah, okay. All of the above. What I will do is talk around, again, some of the challenges. I think there is a perception that if I virtualize my desktop, it will straight away provide some savings. Well, unfortunately, that's not always the case, and I will talk about how we can reduce the cost even more with desktop virtualization. And also, my other mission today is to try and keep you all awake. This is probably the worst slot on the agenda because it's straight after lunch. So if I see anyone nodding off, I will try and raise my voice or do something to wake you up. Okay, so to get everybody on the same page, what I'm going to do is just provide a 30,000-foot view of what desktop virtualization is. Okay, so everybody familiar with what you can see on the screen right now. It's the way that we've been providing compute at the desktop for some 15, 20 years now. We've got a PC with a screen, with a keyboard and a mouse. And every 3 years, 4 years, it's actually becoming longer now, we tend to refresh this PC. And that causes a lot of disruption when we try and upgrade this because all of our applications, our personality, our data resides on that PC. So what we're looking to do with desktop virtualization is get rid of that device completely and take the CPU, the memory, the storage, and put it back into a central location in a data center, residing on data center class equipment. The screen, the keyboard resides with the user, and we've replaced that PC with a thin device. What you're actually seeing on the screen now is not a Nintendo Wii. This is a Cisco device, a zero client device. Okay, this has got a 7-year life as opposed to our PCs that we typically have to upgrade because somebody releases a new version of an operating system. It requires more memory, more CPU, new applications get released. So this is typically 7 years. The actual power requirements for that device is 1/10 of what you get with a PC. So we're looking at about 14 watts compared with 140 watts for a PC. So The green initiative, desktop virtualization certainly helps with. Now, what we need to do is then access our desktop over the network, and we use pieces of software from Citrix and VMware typically in order to deliver that over the network. So everything resides in the data center. Our data is secured because it resides in a data center, and it's just the screen presentation that's displayed over the network. Obviously, the network becomes critical. No network, no desktop. So we need to focus in on how do we optimize the network for desktop virtualization. I bet you can guess what I'm going to say, and Cisco can provide some value, certainly in the network side of things. From what you've heard today around the data center with unified compute, our unified fabric, we certainly have an offering that resides in the data center that provides differentiation and value to you as end users. And now what you've heard with collaboration and getting down to the endpoints and some of the applications that we provide in a collaborative manner, we also have some technologies that can help with the end user experience. So VXI, I say, really spans all of those architectures, the data center, the network, and the endpoints. And you have to have this joined up approach for the user to get the best user experience possible. Now, whatever your driver for desktop virtualization, whether it is security, whether it is cost reduction, whether it is flexibility, it's not plain sailing right now. There are some challenges. Return on investment becomes critical, and actually, in some circumstances, the cost to provide a virtual desktop has been more expensive than to actually run a traditional desktop. This is what's been fed back to us. And the applicability of desktop virtualization. There is a real challenge right now trying to get video and audio delivered inside a virtual desktop. If you think about it, it all resides back into the data center. I might be on the end of an ADSL line, for example. The quality isn't going to be very good because latency is involved. So what's being fed back to us is, you won't get a very good user experience trying to deliver video inside a virtual desktop. What's also been fed back is a fragmented solution set. If you look at desktop virtualization, you will probably have 10 different vendors that make up your solution. I've mentioned a couple today, VMware and Citrix, but you probably want some user virtualization, so I would go to AppSense for that, for example. You might want some application virtualization, so I would go to Microsoft for that. And trying to bring all these vendors together in a cohesive fashion as a single system does become very, very challenging. Some organizations that I've talked to, they estimate the engineering effort to come up with their reference architecture is around about $4 million because they have to evaluate the market, they test different combinations to find out what's right for those users. So obviously I wouldn't put up these challenges without having an answer to each of these. So let's drill down and see what the answers are. Okay, virtualization experience infrastructure. It actually builds on VDI. Everybody familiar with VDI? Okay, well, people that have tried to adopt VDI have been challenged, and I've mentioned a couple of those aspects around the video, around the cost. What we're doing with VXI is taking all of the good things within virtual desktop infrastructure and plugging the holes where they exist and coming up with virtual experience infrastructure. So fixing the rich media and the video challenge. That's what VXI does. It fixes that problem. We're going to provide you with an end-to-end validated architecture so that you don't have to spend months of engineering effort coming up with your own solution. We're going to give you a blueprint design that you can download off our website or we'll send to you, and this shows you how to build virtual desktops to scale using best-of-breed components from technology providers. We're also going to enhance security and control. So you heard today from Alan around some of the aspects of our Nexus 1000V and VSG. Well, what that does is enable us to provide security right up to the virtual machine. Things that you're used to in a physical world, we're going to provide in a virtual world. We're going to accelerate the network, because if you think where Cisco have most expertise, it's optimizing the network. We're going to make it virtualization aware. We're going to come out with solutions that plug into your network, aimed specifically at desktop virtualization that fixes the problem with delivering applications and desktops. And of course, we're going to optimize it for energy use as well. So this is really where VXI comes from, and we feel that this better describes what we're delivering than virtual desktop infrastructure does. Okay, so you've seen this slide before today. We're taking the innovation from our borderless network, our collaboration, and our data center, and providing these key aspects. But let's drill down into a bit more detail and look at the architecture. This is an end-to-end system, as I mentioned. What you see is the boxes in blue are delivered by Cisco. The boxes in gray are delivered by best-of-breed ecosystem partners. So on the networking side, it's a Cisco network in there. On the compute side of things, it's built on our unified compute platform. But we're going to go to our technology partners, EMC and NetApps, to provide the storage. On the hypervisor side of things, VMware, Microsoft, and Citrix, giving you a choice of what's best, both technically and commercially, for your own organizations. On the desktop virtualization side of things, we're providing you a choice of whether it's Citrix Zen Desktop or whether it's VMware View. And as we've heard today, we're taking our collaborative applications and making them desktop virtualization aware. So the first example of that is with our call manager. That is geared and grooved to work now inside a virtual desktop. On the borderless networking side of things, we're using a lot of our innovation and capabilities there. And on the collaborative workspace, we've actually introduced some new clients that you're going to see today, and we're going to drill down into a bit more detail. We heard about CS earlier. I'm going to provide some details and show you how that plugs into desktop virtualization. Okay, our technology partners don't end there. We've actually partnered with some additional partners. McAfee. I don't know whether anyone's familiar with some of their new technologies, but trying to get antivirus working inside a virtual desktop is pretty challenging. You can get it to work, but it generates so much resources, so many IOPS on the back-end side of things, the user experience starts to decrease. So we partnered with McAfee. We've proved their solutions. Their solution is part of our reference architecture, our blueprint design for desktop virtualization. Atlantis Computing, I don't know whether anyone familiar with Atlantis Computing? No hands. Well, they're an organization that specializes in desktop virtualization, and they overcome the storage challenge. The challenge with storage is user performance will suffer if I don't get my storage correct. Okay, and sometimes you throw so much storage at the problem, it increases the cost, so the return on investment is degraded. Okay. Atlantis Computing have a solution for that. So if you look at our reference architecture, it includes all of these technologies from all of these technology partners. Okay. Okay, we heard about CS. There was a question earlier around the CS. Is it available? Is it deliverable? Can I order it and get it right now? The answer is yes, you can. It's been shipping since May. It's on our books. You can order that, and it's deliverable right now. This fits into our desktop virtualization strategy, VXI. So when you're mobile, you can use this business tablet. And I have all my voice capability, all of my video conferencing capability on this single device. So as I'm on the road, I can use this device as a business class tablet. But when I'm back at my desk, I can then dock that into a handheld device, a handset, connect a video and keyboard and mouse to it, and use it just as a standard PC, okay, but using it as a virtual desktop. This is based on an Android operating system, and it will support all of the latest technologies, 3G, 4G when it becomes available as well. Okay, and then we have the Nintendo Wii that you see on the right-hand side of the screen here. This is our zero client device. There has hardly any technology in here that you have to maintain. So it's not running an operating system. All I do is plug it into the network. The Cisco network powers this device. It's power over Ethernet. And I just use this single, simple device to deliver all my desktop services to it. Power over Ethernet is critical here, actually, because thinking about the green agenda, what I can do now is manage this, and I can control using Cisco EnergyWise when this device powers up and when it shuts down. And it will even record the amount of power that's being used so that I can report back to the powers that really require this information. So this is fine for organizations that are using some other IP telephone device. For organizations that are using a Cisco IP phone, 8900 and the 9900 series phone, we actually embed a zero client into the back of it. So all you have is a single device on your desk that not only delivers your voice services, but delivers your desktop services.
Only not the 7900 series?
Sorry?
Only the
8900 and the 9900 series phone, yeah, that's correct. Okay, now we will be adding to this, and what you will see towards the start of next year is a thin client, which actually has a soft phone running inside the thin client, which means that I can get rid of my physical phone completely. I think, you know, that's where the industry is moving to. Okay, on the networking side of things, we're providing network services that are driven for desktop virtualization. So for example, awareness. From a networking perspective, I can tell where a user's coming in. Are they coming in via a wired connection, a wireless connection? Are they coming in from a laptop device? Are they coming in from a zero client? Are they coming in from a CS? And then based on those, the access, I can apply some policies. So for example, if I'm a user that's mobile and I'm coming in on a wireless connection in an unsecure location, I might not want to provide certain applications that would break the security policies. Again, from a performance perspective, I might not want to deliver voice services over a wireless connection. So being able to detect that in the network. We will be coming out with some technologies as well towards the end of this year that are appliances that you can plug into the network, which will break into the desktop protocols and optimize them for video and audio. So watch out, those devices will be coming out later on this year. Okay, on the data center side of things, we've heard some things about the architectures and innovation that we can bring to data center. I'm just going to really focus in on the unified compute side of things for just a couple of minutes and really build upon what Alan had spoken about earlier on. So with our unified compute platform and the unique innovation that we can bring, we're able to provide a higher density. Roughly about 60% more desktops on a Cisco unified compute platform than what you will see from any other technology provider. Okay. Now what's the importance there? Well, if I can have more desktops on fewer blades, that means I have to buy less. Okay. And if I have to buy less servers, I don't have to plug those servers into the network. So there's a reduction there on the networking side of things. And those servers that I don't have to buy, well, I obviously don't have to power them. So there's a saving there on the power and cooling side of things. And I don't have to manage those servers either. You know? So there's lots and lots of downstream benefits around reducing the cost and optimizing that this platform provides. On the infrastructure side of things, we're able to achieve about a 20% lower infrastructure things. And let's just look into that. This is an actual, I'm sure a lot of people have seen this picture already. This is real life, okay? This is taken out of a real life example, and it's actually a banking example. This is a mature bank, and what they did was provide 6 physical network connections per server. They used blade systems, okay, and to keep the Cisco network, they use pass-through modules. So out the back of one of their chassis, they have 96 network cables. Okay, this is a mature bank. Well, so what? You know, it's a little bit complex, it looks a little bit untidy, I've got 96 cables coming out. Well, you have to plug those 96 cables into 96 switch ports. Okay, so there's a huge cost there, and it's quite funny actually, Cisco are saying, buy less switch ports. But we are, and our architecture provides that. And those switch ports that you don't have to plug into, well, you don't have to power, you don't have to manage. So again, there's downstream benefits of going with this type of architecture. Here's the picture of one of the back of our UCS system, and you'll see that there's only 2 cables, 4 cables, 8 cables, as opposed to the 96 on the other conventional system. So this is our unique architecture that we have here, and this really allows us to reduce the infrastructure that's required. So you're wiring now for bandwidth as opposed to connectivity. Another area is memory. Anyone running Windows 7 here? Few people. Windows 7 requires 3 times much more memory than Windows XP. Fine, okay. So if I start to virtualize those desktops and run them on back-end servers, I need to have some systems that can really scale in terms of memory. Well, there are some limitations with 2-socket servers right now from Intel, which means that you can only put so much memory. You can only put 12 DIMMs in a server. So for desktop virtualization, I need lots and lots of memory, which means that I have to start buying really expensive memory and populating my servers with really expensive, fast memory. The other alternative is I buy different systems, put more memory in there, but I don't get the performance. So it's a bit of a trade-off, you know? Desktop virtualization and user experience is really all about performance. You know, if I am not able to provide the same, a better user experience with desktop virtualization, my users will soon start switching off. Now, what Cisco can do is provide lots and lots of memory at very high performance using 4 gig DIMMs, so we get the best of both worlds. Very fast memory, very low cost memory in a single system. This helps us achieve some of the densities that we get. Okay, but it's not just about memory, having lots and lots of memory. It's about having this scalable architecture that is based on a very high-speed fabric that does use the very latest Intel CPUs that allows us to get to some of these densities. So I mentioned that we have done some testing with our partners, and here's the results of some of the testing that we've done with Citrix and VMware. And what this basically shows is that we can scale the architecture from 1 blade right up to 16 blades and beyond with linear performance. So what you don't have to do is get to a certain threshold and then move to a different set of servers, different set of storage, different set of networking, which you do with other reference architectures. Okay, I mentioned before that we have these validated designs available to download. Here's just a selection of a few of those validated designs. This is really going to help you start to accelerate your adoption of desktop virtualization at the same time as removing the risk. Okay, so rather than spend these months of engineering effort, you can just download these blueprints from our website, and they really do go into a lot of detail. I think the last document that I looked at was 200 pages in size, and it provides you all of the configuration that you need to stand up desktop virtualization. So just go to this URL, cisco.com/go/VXI, and you'll have access to all of these documents. Has anyone seen those documents already, by the way?
Sorry, was Cisco.com?
Sorry. So cisco.com/go/VXI. And that's the way that we typically have most of our solutions on there. So if you wanted more information on UCS, go/UCS. Okay, I thought I'd finish off with a couple of examples of work that Cisco have done in healthcare and universities around looking at what the cost of a virtual desktop is from an OpEx and a CapEx perspective and comparing two different organizations here. Now, these two organizations are very different, or the results are very different, as you can see on the screen here. On the healthcare example, they got most of their savings in OpEx. So there's huge savings there. On the university side of things, and this is one that I was personally involved with as well, the savings weren't as great, even though it's a similar kind of number of users. And the reason for that, the main reason for that, is within the healthcare, it was an unmanaged environment. They didn't have a very mature way of managing their desktops. So it was costing them an awful amount of money to manage their traditional desktops. If we contrast that with the university side of things, it was a well-managed environment. They had got all of their processes in place to efficiently manage their desktop estate. So I suppose the key message from this is it depends on your environment as to the savings that you would expect from desktop virtualization. And I'd like to offer up Cisco's assistance in working with you to understand exactly what the cost reduction could be within your organizations. So just to finish, we have VXI, new solution category. We're leveraging the architectures that we have inside Cisco, borderless networking, collaboration, and our data center. We're bringing the innovations from those architectures together to create the virtual workspace, and we're providing that with a rich media experience, obviously very secure, with a good return on investment, total cost of ownership reduction. And I think the key thing here is we're giving this to you as an integrated system that has been fully tested to scale, and those blueprints are available for you to download off the website. So with that, I'm finished. Are there any questions? I think we're coming up towards the end of time now. But are there any questions? Is there anyone that would like to engage with us to work out what the possible cost reduction could be?
Well, what you said the end of the year for that thing, fine, with the soft phone.
Okay.
Is that kind of a guaranteed date, or is it still kind of
So as with roadmaps, they're always subject to change, but it is Cisco's intent right now to deliver in this first half of next year a thin client that will have soft phone capabilities. Any other questions? I only saw a couple of people sleep, so I don't think I did too bad considering it's straight after lunch.
Thank you, Stacey.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.